elbows, but you just can't see this going on very long because the punches landing are heavy and the kicks and the knees as well. And one of those knees has gone low. Well, Jason was talking earlier on in the evening about a disproportionate number of low blows that maybe take place in the 1FC cage, and my goodness, he looks in some pain, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's... I think that's a very accurate statement, Steve. And I guess just take a look here.
The knee.
Yeah,
Ngalani's knee came up at the same time, which kind of exposed him even more than he'd like to have been. And desperate times. Oh, the agony and the anguish. 12,000 fans here at the Singapore Indoor Stadium. The guys are crossing their legs. The girls are looking with curiosity and a mixture of emotion and sympathy. And he gets 5 minutes.
From the looks of it, he's going to need all 5 too. That was a right on the money, especially when you've got an opponent that,
Look at that
has that much weight behind his punches and kicks. That's a lot of pounds per square inch of impact force coming off of someone that's that large.
I do like seeing the faces of the guys and girls in the audience when this happens, though. The empathy. It resolves your faith in human nature.
This might be one of those fights that's not able to continue.
Well, he'll get the full 5 minutes. Traditionally, we don't see fighters take that long, but we have seen fighters unable to continue beyond the 5 minutes. And it would be a real shame if this one has to end in this way, because there was an explosive finish written all over this one, and you just didn't want to see it happen in that manner.
Referee Olivier Costas telling Ngalani to try to relax. I think that is very good advice and very difficult advice simultaneously.
Especially when you're getting an ice pack applied to your central regions. How do you relax when that's going on?
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, we've got 3 minutes left, the judges are saying, in the recoup period. And I have a feeling that Ngalani's going to take all 3 minutes, which is completely fine. You don't want to go back in there.
Well, what must be going through Parry's mind? He wouldn't want the fight to end in this way at all either.
Yeah, I mean, and at this point too, because we haven't gone far enough into the rounds to really get any discernible action. You know, if the fight went past a certain point, we can say, okay, who won the fight based on where we are up to this point of it. But you know, only being a minute and a half in, this is a loss for both Alain and Lewis Perry if this does get pulled, because you know, you spent 8, 10, 12, 16 weeks getting ready for a fight like both of these guys did, and then to have it end, if it does end this way, just mentally fatiguing.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to this. Just over a minute left for Ngalani to, I was going to say demonstrate, but it's not a question of that. It's persuading himself that he can continue. And he's still at the moment prostrate as his brother kneeling on the perimeter of the cage, outside of the cage. There he is on the left-hand side of your screen in the black singlet. Just trying to communicate, figure out the best way to go from here. Is he okay to carry on? The bad sign is that he still hasn't got up off the canvas, and usually as soon as they possibly can, fighters in this position will get up, try and walk around, try and walk it off if such a thing is possible.
I think they're trying to see how much time they have left. I want to say that Lenny Hart just said there's about a minute left. At the end of that 5 minutes, he's going to have a definitive yes or no whether or not he can continue. And you know, you got to think about the longevity of not only your career, but also your bloodline.
Qu'est-ce que je fais? Si je me lève, je ne pas quitter, je préfère.
Écoute, on va.
You know, for all the shots that we've seen in UFC to the groin or the UFC or any of the other organizations, like really, there's only a small portion of those that have ended fights.
Well, I can only think of one. I think it was it Tim Sylvia?
I don't remember. But
I think it
still,
was a heavyweight contest. I do remember the one occasion where it didn't go on. But I think you're right. Beyond that, I think every other fight has continued.
I think it was Andrei Arlovsky, Tim Sylvia?
Perhaps?
Yeah, I think you're right. And it doesn't look very promising that 4 minutes and 50 some odd seconds into this, Ngalani is still unable to continue. But obviously, you know, like any other sport, safety is always the first and primary concern, and I would never want to see a guy get back up and feel like he was pressured into fighting or continuing to go, because that can cause permanent damage and also affect your performance, obviously.
I mean, the operative phrase here, Jason, as you said, is get back up, and Ngalani has not got onto his feet yet, and that's the bad sign. As I say, they tend to walk it off after a couple of minutes or so, or try to just stretch that midriff, get some air in there, but still hasn't got up off the canvas. And it doesn't look to me as if it's going to go any further. It's all over, as was looking the case at least a minute ago. Ngalani cannot recover in the time given, and that's as much of a disappointment to Charles Lewis Parry, as you can see, as it is to Alain Ngalani. And of course the crowd here at cage side, who nonetheless are giving very generous applause to these fighters.